City Matters.
Welcome here to HMTV. This is Richard Acritelli here with the Fog of War and Humanity. To the left of me is my special guest, Andy Menechella. Our first segment, he got into being a Queens kid, actually growing up in Brooklyn as a young man and then moving to Queens, being a very strong baseball player, the New York Mets, and then getting hit with the lottery in terms of the draft in the late 1960s. So, Andrew, what is some of the things that you vividly recall from your time in Vietnam? We spoke about the trench foot and the conditions.
Well, mostly heat, rain, blood. A lot of times we got ambushed and guys got blown up pretty bad and screaming for their parents and not being able to get them out. And sometimes we had to give them an extra shot of morphine, and it was devastating. We'd be walking past the village, on a rice paddy, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 3 guys go down.
That scene in Saving Private Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Where they had the communications and they kind of say to the Captain Miller, we don't need to take this. We could bypass it.
Oh, absolutely.
Complete our mission. And then he says, but it's going to kill somebody else, though.
Yeah.
So, and then the medic, who I guess, right, they call Doc, right?
Doc, yeah.
Is laying there and they know he's dying. And he's, I need morphine.
Right.
Is that similar in some regards to what you saw?
They didn't know what they need because they were in shock once they got their legs blown off or arm blown off.
But just that trauma is...
Yeah, just a trauma. And you're traumatized, right? It's your buddy.
Yeah.
It's your buddy. And hopefully the medic's around. So we used to carry morphine because we sometimes we get split up. And if you got God forbid, you got your leg blown off, I could give you a shot of morphine. But if we can't get you out, you're going to bleed to death.
You just never know the situation, right?
Nope.
So you're trying to be prepared for it. Right?
Sometimes a second shot of morphine stopped the heart.
Wow.
And again, it's about being in the moment and having the experience to do what needs to be done.
So now you're in the thick of things there.
Yep.
When you come under attack, and you were certainly under attack a number of times, right?
Sure.
Was air support called in pretty quickly?
Yes. That's the one thing we had the advantage of was air support. And we had these UE gunships. The gunships were amazing. And they bailed us out a lot. And sometimes when you're under heat, your coordinates are not what they should be, and then the stuff got pretty close to us. Some guys got hit with friendly fire.
Which is...
It wasn't commonplace, but it happened. Sometimes you had to call it in pretty close because you were surrounded. So we got whatever we needed in terms of support. The problem was, when you were home watching TV, having supper at 6 o'clock at night, they'd say 350 GIs got killed. And the people were appalled and, oh my God. So they made us go on search and destroy missions, and I thought they used this as bait. They made us have contact, and then we'd bring in the gunships and, whatever 155s, 105, artillery. And
almost bring them out in the open. And
bring them out in the open. So we were used as bait.
Was that mostly used because of the jungle itself?
Well, if you're in the jungle per se, you're not going to bring anything in. It's mostly you. And if you have, you got to understand perimeters and you got to understand what everybody does. Everybody's got a job to do.
Now, at that point, did you guys gravitate towards Cambodia?
No, we didn't know where we were. We had a map, and the map wasn't like a
wasn't
map
completely
of
accurate, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
right.
It's coordinates and your hills. It's a lot of hills and such. We knew we were going to Cambodia or Laos when they told us, and you weren't allowed to go there. So it was all like undercover and covert,
secret,
all that kind of crap. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was scary as hell. It was like it was covered, but it was like the Long Island Expressway. They had so much activity back and forth. And,
Some infrastructure there as well.
Oh my God, yeah. I know. And anytime we got ambushed, we eventually get out of the ambush and we find tunnels, and now you got to go into the tunnels. And we had tunnel rats, we called them. Those were the point guys.
Little guys.
Short round, yeah.
Short, stocky.
Short, yeah. And they used
Small
to go
arms,
in,
right?
Yep, and they go in just like you saw in Platoon.
Sure.
William Dafoe took the flashlight and the 45 and said, "See you later."
Yeah.
And he goes into the tunnel, and there's booby traps in the tunnel, and there's hospitals, and the
Whole
smell,
culture down there, right?
Yeah. All the bunkers we'd find with caches of ammunition, and the smell. Sometimes we had to sleep in the bunkers at night. That's the smell I can't get out of my.
You ever go into the tunnels itself?
I was in a tunnel, yeah. Not to do any investigating, just to see what the hell it was like.
Wow.
That was too big.
Just to have an idea of.
Yeah. The bunkers were scary. They had the.
They booby-trapped the bunkers and everything?
Yeah, especially when they knew we were coming.
So that
they
scene in
everything.
Platoon, they go, you got to bring the engineers up here.
If you were stupid enough to start picking up stuff.
That was it.
That was it.
Wow.
It happened. Guys blew themselves up. I didn't need to see anything.
Wow.
I'd rather just shoot and ask questions later.
The enemy itself was still very motivated at the end of the war.
Definitely. Yeah.
And what was the problem that you saw at the end of the war where the troop strength started coming down? Did that kind of foster like a resiliency within the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese? Because they knew that the responsibility was starting to shift, right?
Yeah, but the where we were up in Area 1, it's where the 101st was pretty concentrated. That's where most of your North Vietnamese regulars were, up that way. So they were...
what was the difference that you saw between the Viet Cong, who were mostly the guerrilla, right?
Yeah.
And the North Vietnamese army, who was more regular army itself?
Yeah, well,
right?
they had more training, and they did the opposite of what we did. The Viet Cong, they were farmers and... whomever, they come at you with pitchforks or
more militia, right?
More militia type. So they were not not regulars. So they didn't perform the same kind of duties. They were more aloof. A couple of shots and bang, they're gone. North Vietnamese, they engage you. You're engaged.
At the museum that I done, the Military History Museum, we actually have the sandals.
Yep.
Of either Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese army, and it looks like sandals that you would wear going to the beach,
right? Or a tire,
with the rubber
tire tracks.
Yeah.
That's the way
unbelievable.
It was. That's the way it was. They didn't have any food. They didn't have hardly any ammunition. What they got, the booby traps were made of the stuff that we left.
Yeah.
So when we left a campsite, we had to make sure we buried or burned everything. Otherwise, we'd get it back in spades.
And then on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, they're riding bikes and carrying armaments.
Absolutely, yeah, trucks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
right?
unbelievable. They had
and it's probably similar to what we saw over the last 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, no different. Just
right?
Instead of jungle, it was sand.
Yeah.
And it was more house to house.
And ingenuity to kind of use our stuff against us, right?
Yep. So we got... we got the hang of it after a while, but you always had replacements. So you always had a weak link, and you had to overcome that. And, thank God I was able to do it.
And that's a tough thing to do in the jungle.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Your brother in arms, and if God forbid something happens to him, you get a replacement. Now I got to rely on you. I don't know you.
Let me ask you this here. You go for that beer and a couple of shots of liquor.
Yeah.
In Glendale, right? Yep. Did all those guys come home?
No. Louis got his leg blown off. There were 3 other guys. One guy went to Germany. He was an MP. And 7 of us went to Vietnam. We all went to basic training together. All went to Fort Polk, but then different units. And me and another guy came back kind of unscathed. And I met him after 50 years.
Wow.
At the vet's home in Stony Brook.
In Stony Brook, Long Island.
So my brother calls me. My brother worked there for about 19 years. He said, "Andy, what are you doing?" I wasn't working there yet. I said, "No, I'm just puttering in the garden." He says, "Come here, I want you to meet somebody." So I drive over, and Bob Gervasi, I saw him in the bar.
You know that name like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw him in the bar, and then we we were in basic training together, and then he went to another unit when we went to Vietnam, but I hadn't seen him. And he was there doing some rehab. He had some problems. And
so what was the homecoming like? Big handshake, big hug?
Oh, yeah. Big handshake.
Couple of tears, right?
When I got home, the major who made me get 3 haircuts before I ETS'd out of Fort Lewis, Washington, because I didn't want to do state. So I extended 32 days in Vietnam to get a 6-month drop, stateside drop.
So you stay over there longer?
Yeah.
Maybe in the jungle a little bit longer?
Yeah. So I didn't have to do 6 months stateside duty.
You could just get home a little bit quicker.
I couldn't do the
right?
spit and polish.
Sure.
The lifers. I couldn't take that.
Yeah, that's a tough atmosphere because
tough
you're going from one area to another.
And then they want me to be, if I came home, I was going to do 6 months at, I think, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was going to be a train.
In the middle of Oklahoma.
And I'm going to train the guys going over to Vietnam. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I didn't want to do that.
So now, your last part of Vietnam, where do you know, or when do you find out that you're heading home?
Okay, so before I extended 32 days, I spoke to the company commander. I said, "Where are we going to be?" He said, "Nah, it's pretty low key. We'll stay at the fire base, and we'll probably just do some security around the fire base for the artillery." Okay, where do I sign? About a week later, he comes over to me. He says, "I'm sorry." He said, "We got pulled off the fire base. We may be going to Cambodia." Holy shit! I killed myself.
Yeah.
Right. So what did I do? Then I said, I can't have that rationale. I got to keep the same.
I got to stay sharp.
Got to stay sharp. So I did that, and then when it got to be about, I knew I was going out on a bird in about 3 days. That got a little tricky. I tried to, again compartmentalize that, but it was scary until I finally got on a helicopter and got the hell out of there. Did
you turn 21 in Vietnam?
Yes.
What was that like?
I don't even know it.
Just like any other day?
Yeah, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for what?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving for my MREs, right?
They didn't bring any turkey for you or anything like that?
No. We had the only thing I got that was that I remember was a steak when I got to Fort Lewis, Washington. We had a steak and a beer.
That must have been like heaven for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wow.
It was great.
What was it like to leave? I mean, you had to be the last cluster of soldiers that were there.
Yeah, I mean,
it was still guys
73-ish is when they really started downsizing.
But the numbers were drastically cut from 69, 70, right?
But it wasn't like, in other words, you got the whole country. It wasn't like they took everybody a little bit of, they took like all of this gone. So up north where we were, it was still pretty active. So it was... There was still a lot of activity.
So you were in the northern part,
area
of South Vietnam.
Yes.
Was that I Corps up there?
Yeah, I Corps. Yeah.
And that was a busy.
That was 101st. That was mostly 101st centric.
So now you're airborne. If you want to show your hat, right?
Airborne, but never had a jump.
How many jumps did you do? They were mostly over here, right? In terms of your training.
Yeah, we didn't. We jumped maybe once or twice. We weren't. I don't have wings because we didn't. I wasn't in a jumping unit. They had in the latter part of Vietnam. They had 101st, and they were grunts, not paratroopers.
Yeah.
So I'm not a paratrooper.
But you did the training though for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where was that?
That was in Fort Benning,
Georgia.
Georgia.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you do 5 jumps at Benning?
No.
So you just did, was it 2 jumps?
2 jumps. And then never jumped again. And in Vietnam, they had 1 jump in the A Shore Valley, and about 1,000 guys were dead before they hit the ground.
Wow.
So I said jumping isn't a smart thing to do.
So now I know you're not jumping, you're not going from a plane, right? Does the training that you get at Benning help you in terms of was there anything positive there for you?
From it? Yeah, well, we used to do combat assaults. And we used to come in with helicopters. So you get a platoon or a company, and you get maybe 20 or 30 helicopters. And you saw that in platoon. And sometimes if it wasn't a hot LZ, if it wasn't hot, they'll land and you could get out. Most of the time you're getting shot at, so you're jumping out. So you got 75 pounds, 25 pounds. I'm jumping. Sometimes I hit the ground on my feet. A lot of times on my back, on my side.
And you're banged up before you move.
Oh, you're banged up big time. And
It's like throwing a rock in the water. Yeah, right.
exactly. And sometimes it's pouring, so you're jumping into who the hell knows what.
Yeah. Under fire.
Under fire. And combat assault. So I did about 23 of those.
So now, is that 23 helicopter missions into
Yes.
various areas of the northern part of South Vietnam?
We worked around 3 or 4 fire bases, which is probably maybe about a 20 click, about 20, 25 miles of geography that we worked, depending on what the mission was.
Did you get to know the helicopter pilots at all?
Yeah. I know the 60 gunners I really got friendly with. No, you guys used to get shot up
because they're on
too.
the outside
They used to
and
get shot up too. They were nuts. They
providing
were psychos.
cover.
They were psychos. Those guys. They were.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Is there some truth to that?
Yes. Full Metal Jacket after basic was pretty close. Was pretty close.
What, in terms of being in country? And,
Yeah, in country and being some were rebels and the guys looked like gang members
Sure.
and smoking pot and smoking hash.
Yeah.
I did that I never took drugs before I went to the service. When I got there, they said, you're going to have to take a couple of hits of marijuana, and we had some hash.
What was the rationale?
Take the edge off.
Take the
You're
edge
going to
off.
be killing people, and your buddies are going to die. It was inevitable.
And the officers knew that was going on?
Oh, absolutely. They did it too.
Yeah.
They did it with us.
Well,
Yeah.
hey,
And we used to get good stuff there. It was all, we had doobies soaked in opium.
But this is how times have changed.
Oh, of course.
I'm asking you about drug use,
Yeah,
and there's still a little bit of a stigma with it.
absolutely.
Now, you're walking your dog outside,
Yeah, you smoke
and you can smell the dope
yeah,
for
we
the next half a mile with a car driving
we
by.
smoked it driving out here. We smoked one of the cars. We smelled it. But I never did anything since, but I'm glad I did it while I was there. And they told me I should do it, and I did.
And you're listening
And it
to
took the edge off, and it kept me in a nice...
and you're listening to the guys that were in country for a
Absolutely.
while.
Yeah.
So now you leave. Where you fly out of Saigon,
I flew out of Da Nang,
and
and I went to Fort Lewis, Washington. When I get to Fort Lewis, Washington,
and that's a pretty big,
yeah, it was
pretty big place for
by
us.
Mount Rainier. It was beautiful, and I process out, and I wind up going on I think a TWA flight.
What was that like for you processing out? And what year was that?
It was
71?
weird. 71 was November-ish. It was early November. I got out November 9, 71.
So you got Thanksgiving and Christmas to spend with your family.
Yeah,
right?
home. Although I didn't. I got Thanksgiving, Christmas. I went with a couple of my buddies. We went to Florida. We had some stuff planned for the New
Good for
Year's
you,
and just
right?
to get the hell out.
Yeah, sure.
Because my head wasn't right.
Yeah.
I knew there was issues, but what do you do about it?
A little sunny weather, at the beach,
it
drink
was
a couple of
amazing.
beers, you play
Women,
little cards,
girls,
women,
yeah,
right?
Horse track, dog tracks, horse tracks. It was pretty cool. And
So when you get out of the Army,
yeah,
you made it.
I did.
You survived, right? That's
And when I got on the plane,
and that's a pretty grim thing to say, right? That
well,
right? That's a tough thing.
Yeah, it was sweet and sour.
Yeah.
I left a lot of buddies. I left friends who were still there, and worrying about them. And
you know Joe Cognitori.
oh yeah,
Joe was the second segment I ever did, right?
oh, is that right?
So Joe will say sometimes, well, there's a stigma that all the fighting was done in the early, the mid, and
Yeah.
the later part of the 60s, right, with Ted.
Sure.
He was over there at the same time. You
Yeah.
guys could have been literally
Oh, absolutely.
driving past each other.
Absolutely.
He goes, the fighting was still there.
Oh,
and
no doubt.
There were guys that still did it, that helped the South Vietnamese out.
Yeah.
And then the NVA and the Viet Cong were no joke. They didn't care it was the end of the war. They were still going.
And the South Vietnamese, they didn't want to fight. The Arvins.
Did you see a similarity between Arvin and what we saw in Afghanistan, where it just fell apart?
Yeah. Well, the Arvins, when we went on a major mission, if you will, when we were going to come against a brigade or companies of North Vietnamese, the Arvins were in first. As soon as they took fire, they ran behind us
And broke apart.
and left.
Yeah.
They were running like crazy. So we knew what was going to happen eventually. When we left, they were either going to Chuhoy, they were going to go onto their side, or they were going to kill them.
we know what it was like for American soldiers, Marines, Navy, Air Force, right?
Yeah.
To get taken prisoner. It was
Oh, boy.
hell on earth, right?
Yep.
But what would happen to the Arvin? Would they just get shot at that point?
Yeah. They just
Most
they
likely,
just shoot
right?
them, yeah.
And that was it, right?
Yep. But the only thing the Arvins were good for was getting information from the Viet Cong or the
In terms of prisoners?
prisoners. Take them up in a helicopter, ask them a question, doesn't answer it right, he's flying down.
Right? They take 5 of them up and throw
throw
3
them all
out. And,
Yeah.
right?
And the fifth guy will tell you everything you want to know.
Yeah.
Right? You just got to. You're unlucky to be the fifth guy.
Yeah. It's things were done a little differently.
Yeah.
It was a vicious.
Well, there's no Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
I mean, we held the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
We couldn't set booby traps, or we get the crap blown out of us. It kind of wasn't fair.
but they just
They were all
did whatever
all
they
in.
wanted.
They were
Yeah.
well, it's their land.
Yeah.
Picture you, getting invading Jones Beach.
Sure,
right?
sure.
You're going to have a different.
Well, they fight the
rationale.
Japanese,
Yeah.
right? Just in recent
French.
times. The French,
They kicked the crap out of the French.
Dien Bien Phu.
Yeah,
Country gets divided along the 17th parallel.
yeah,
And then, you got Americans coming from Queens, right?
right.
That don't know anything about the country, and they say this is just another form of colonialism, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's a very, very tough war.
Very poor people. Looking. You see. We used to see kids, and you give them, chocolate or something, and then they'd be shooting at you at night.
Yeah. You just didn't know who you were
You didn't
dealing
know
with.
who you were dealing with. That was the toughest part.
Did you see Good Morning Vietnam?
Yeah, with Roger Williams,
Right.
with Robin Williams.
Robin Williams,
Yeah.
and his friend turns out to be VC.
Yeah,
And then they're in the jungle. They're like, how could you, survive? I can't see my hand.
navigate through that? Yeah.
How do you navigate?
I mean, we captured Viet Cong, and we turned them into Kit Carson scouts. They became scouts and worked for us.
So what you guys, was that like almost like re-education or?
And I didn't trust them. I didn't like them. I didn't trust them. And they gave us some food which we didn't know was edible. They gave us some stuff to eat, but I didn't trust them.
Sure. Okay.
I made sure that we knew all our ammunition, where it was, and what have you.
So now you go to Florida,
Yeah,
you see your buddies, you have a little homecoming with them.
yeah.
What's it like to be back in Queens for Christmas time?
Lousy. It was well. First of all, when I first left Fort Lewis, Washington, I went on a commercial commercial airlines, and the stewardesses knew I was from Vietnam. They took me up front in the first class and gave me 6 or 7 bottles of bourbon. I was drinking. I get home about 10 o'clock at night.
Were you in uniform or regular
Yes.
clothes?
Yeah. Well, what they told me was, the major told me, he said, "Do you have to go home in uniform?" I said, well, "What do you mean?" He says, "You may have some trouble." So I get to Kennedy Airport, and I come off on the runway and off the runway, and getting spit at, stuff thrown at me, baby killer, all that kind of stuff. So I was kind of taken back. Took a cab home, and my dad called a couple of my friends, came over, long hair, bell-bottom pants. It was like, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
And I wasn't used to that. And then
A little bit of a culture shock from what you're used to. Right?
that night I go to bed. Well, my parents had just moved, so I'm in a railroad apartment in Queens, in Middle Village, and I'm in the middle room, and I'm listening to my music, my Vietnam music. We gotta get out of this place, all the music, and I see somebody coming towards me. I wait till he got towards me. I jumped up, got him in the head, punched in the crap of my father, full of blood. My mother's screaming. I said, "Oh my God, what did I do?" My father was in the Battle of the Bulge. He apologized.
Yeah.
He said I should have known better, but it scared me.
But that's like almost part of your process, right? You're involved in heavy fighting.
Yeah.
You're a stranger in a foreign land.
Yep.
You survive. You come home. Now you're getting criticized.
Oh yeah.
Unlike World War II, where there was parades and yellow
Absolutely.
ribbons, and
Not only that, November 7th, I left the bush. I left the jungle. November 9th, I ETS at Fort Lewis, Washington. November 12th, I'm home in my bed.
it's not even a week.
Not even a week.
Yeah,
I'm killing people, men, women, and children, and then now I'm in bed.
you go from one extreme to another,
To another.
and there's nobody there to kind of talk to you, right? Because that's what it was years ago.
Nobody.
Go home, white picket fence, maybe use a GI Bill, get a job.
I had a job with the telephone company, and they kept my raises, and I came home to a strike, a 7-month strike. I had a picket the first week home.
The lovely 1970s, right?
Yeah. I'm picketing. I just got home from Vietnam. I'm picketing. Yeah.
So because I know in terms of like police officers, they're on the job or they're on the list. Then they're off for a couple of years. They come back and they held the time.
Yeah,
so
they accrued. I accrued my salary, and I was making $99.50 when I got drafted. And when I came out of the service, I was making $143.50.
And did you have that money saved?
Yeah.
So that's
come home, could buy a car, do that kind of stuff. Because I got hazardous duty overseas pay, and so it's like $350.
And Lord knows you're not spending a lot of money.
No, we're playing cards. Playing cards. I bought some stuff in Japan on the way home, but you're not spending anything.
You're not spending anything.
I went on R&R. I was in Hawaii, and I was in Australia for a week.
How did you like Australia?
It was gorgeous. Sydney. Yeah.
Just different,
I had
right?
a blast. Yeah, they loved Americans. Yeah. And again, this is 1970, right? It's 50 years ago, 55 years ago. But I had.
Did you eat well over there?
Yes, very much so.
A lot of beef, or
a lot of beef.
Yeah,
a lot of beef and a lot of beer.
Good beer, right?
Good beer.
Yeah.
It was nice. What happened was there was a company clerk. The company clerk and the CO left, and we got a new company clerk, and he was from Buffalo, and he was scared crazy. I took him under my wing. And I'm a little shyster from Brooklyn, right?
So he's scared.
He's scared.
That's another word that means that he's a little dangerous then.
Yeah, but he's a company clerk, so he's in the rear. He's not in the jungle with us. I take him under my wing. I talk him into erasing my leave time. So he erased the leave time that I took from Hawaii and Australia, so I had 14 days left. That's when I came back home, back to the world. And he got... I took care of him. I had guys watching out for him.
Sure.
And I got an extra 2 weeks vacation. Do what you got to do.
You kind of help each other out in some cases too, right?
Yeah. So I remember that. That was funny. Guys were breaking chops all the time.
Well, that's part of the military too. That's where the thick skin comes along, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna end right here in terms of the second segment on HMTV and the Fog of War and Humanity. We're going to come back for a third episode with Andrew, and we're going to kind of get into his life after the war and some of the things that he's up to currently. Please come back for our third episode.